Nestled in the southwest corner of New Hampshire, the small town of Jaffrey sits in a busy crossroads. For centuries, it's been a town with two faces, a picturesque village in the shadow of Mount Monadnock, and an industrial workhorse powered by the waters of the Kentucky River. For more than 100 years, the Jaffrey Mills were the heartbeat of the community. After a long decline, the mills are once again a thriving part of the community core.
This is an old textile mill. I forget exactly when they folded. I think somewhere in the 60s, early 60s is when they stopped making textiles here. So one of the finest linens that was made in the Northeast came out of this mill. It employed quite a few people, and it was difficult when it went under.
Several other businesses operated at the mills through the 70s and 80s, but by the 1990s, both the larger building on the West Bank and smaller building on the east were underutilized and largely abandoned. Frank Sterling, a Jaffrey native, former town councilor, and current state representative, knows just how the changing fortunes of the Jaffrey Mills impacted the town.
So it was just a big black hole. It wasn't doing anything, didn't add anything to the downtown area, didn't lend itself to any kind of shops or anything. It was just a big brick building that pretty much sucked the life out of the downtown.
Jaffrey's leaders had long hoped that various development proposals would succeed in bringing the mill back to life.
The redevelopment of the Jaffrey Mills was more than 20 years in the making. In fits and starts, it finally came to fruition, and I think one of the best ideas that happened was taking the project and actually breaking it apart so that you had two different developers doing what they do best.
Great Bridge Properties, a New Hampshire company that builds workforce housing, worked with the Jaffrey Planning Board on a proposal that would convert the West Building into 30 units of workforce housing. New Hampshire Housing provided more than half the project's financing through its low-income tax credit program, making the mill's turnaround economically viable. Members of the Planning Board understood both the need and the opportunity that Great Bridge's proposal presented.
Great Bridge finally came along, and with a combination of tax credits, private money, and some subsidies, they were able to put the thing together. Of course, the usual hue and cry went up about having all this low-income housing in the middle of town. But they were successful in countering most of those arguments.
Great Bridge Properties came in and offered the select board in the town an avenue to build affordable housing. They worked really hard. They got a lot of consensus of people in town. They reached out to other organizations within the town to have them part of the conversation, asked for support, and really worked hard on the process.
Workforce housing is very important to the state. It supplies a level of housing that's affordable, by definition, for people who are either entry-level workers, just starting out on their careers, kids just getting out of high school, starting a job. And it's important to have housing for those types of people close to where they work. They're leaving because it's very difficult for them to find good housing. We educate our kids and they move away. We'd like to have them stick around and put a little something back into the community.
In 2006, the Planning Board approved both Great Bridge's proposal for workforce housing in the West Building and a separate proposal for market-rate condominiums in the East Side.
We were hired here to market the subdivision and help with the design these are actually mill condos that we restored and renovated. It's the #1 selling condo in both Peterborough, Jaffrey, Ringe area, where it's got the old world feeling with the antique floors and the tall ceilings and brick walls. They like being downtown. It's really emotional. They walk into the space and they love it here, and that's really what drives the show.
Even through this economic downturn, since 2007 when the buildings were completed, the sales have been strong, and there's only one unit available on the market rate side. So I think that speaks volumes to the desirability of living downtown Jaffrey.
I'm 67, my husband's 77.
Shirley Mahoney, another Jaffrey native, has close family ties to the Jaffrey Mills. She was one of the first residents in the workforce apartments.
My grandfather worked here when it was a mill, and I remember working on the 3rd floor here in an electronics plant for about a year. So my brother was a night watchman here, and he fished out of the windows downstairs. So it's like, families still here. I think mainly upstairs it's families with children. Marge across the hall is in her 80s. The girl next door, her father was a state policeman, and she has three older children, and they're all in sports, so it's pretty active here.
People have moved in here, there are lights on in the building, there's things going on, and none of the problems that we were warned about or everybody was making cautionary tales on never developed. Everybody was afraid that there wouldn't be enough parking for all the units, and you can look over here at the parking lot's empty. They said there'd be too many people crammed into a small space, but that hasn't developed either. I think they're at 100% occupancy, and I believe there's a waiting list to get in here.
We're not that far away from everything. We're not really home that much. They keep saying we're the most active seniors they've seen.
The renovation of the Jaffrey Mills complex has been a huge shot in the arm for the entire town.
It's given us another whole population to look at in serving. We have concerts on the common, we have events now that we've always had, but now there's more people there. It allows, the library has the ability to have families walk to their programs in the school.
In addition to serving on the select board, Kathy Batchelder is the director of Jaffrey's Main Street program.
When the Main Street program started in 1999 and we were accepted as a Main Street organization, our occupancy rate for downtown was about 40%. That means 60% of our buildings were empty or about to be empty. They've worked really hard, and we've worked throughout the last 10 years to bring small businesses to downtown. And our occupancy rate now is about, I want to say it's about 95%. It was close to 100% for a while, but with the economic downturn, things have changed somewhat, but they're still coming.
With new life in the heart of the village, ripples of change are spreading throughout town. Plans are underway for changing the road network in the center of Jaffrey so the village core is both more efficient for through traffic and friendlier for pedestrians. An ambitious project is underway to restore Jaffrey's historic movie theater, an illustrious part of the town's past and key to keeping its thriving arts community alive.
Turnaround of a building like the old theater in Jaffrey or the mills that lay vacant for so long just has an incredible catalytic effect. Not only do you get new uses in those buildings, but it has a ripple effect in terms of other businesses and other investment in the area.
Jaffrey has learned that housing, transportation, and the revitalization of Main Street is the foundation on which the larger economy rests.
When businesses are looking to come to town, they want to see the whole picture. So they want to know that you have a vibrant downtown, that you have a great school system, and that you have a good place to work and grow your business. It all feeds in together. So it's the whole package that makes the development of Jaffrey work.
Jaffrey is fortunate to have a great mix of property types and assets to start from. They've got residential, commercial, and institutional properties that tell the story of that history and evolution of the community. And that mix, having old uses and new uses in those structures, are critical to the vitality of the community. People using stores, people enjoying the open spaces, people living right there in the downtown are really all part of what makes a vibrant community.